Hello MCR family, this is Matt the Hipster Hunter. In today's video we're going to be talking about our top 15 heavyweights of the world right now. A disclaimer, this is my and Gary from Dallas's tabulated list. If there's any tiebreakers, it was left up to our other hosts to be the tiebreakers. If there's any issues with your list, take it up with them, not me, in the comment section. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit the like button, share the show, all that fun stuff. Let's get to it. Our top 15 heavyweights of the world right now via MCR. First up, some honorable mentions. Some of these guys did not make the list, obviously. They did receive points. They were on our rankings last time, so we wanted to give them some praise. Michael Hunter, Daniel Dubois, and Dominic Brazil, all guys that could be in this top 15 ranking and probably have an argument to be, but they didn't make ours, unfortunately, due to the calculator system we use. But still, credit to all three men. And let's get to the actual list now, let's be honest. Number 15 is Carlos Takam. The perennial gatekeeper to the top 15 still remains at our top 15 position from last year. And to be honest, he really hasn't done much this year. But I think due to just skill, talent, his sort of resume as a whole, we see that he is sort of still in this position as the top 15 gatekeeper. And I think at this position makes complete sense. Number 14, Gerald Big Baby Miller. Now, obviously, heading into this year, he was supposed to have a breakout performance potentially against Anthony Joshua. That was a fight that if he won, he would be top 3, top 5 in the world without a doubt, right? But he didn't, and we all know why. It's because he failed multiple PED tests and didn't get the fight with Anthony Joshua, had largely been suspended since then. He is free up, he should be fighting relatively soon. There's obviously the rumored Top Rank deal with him, so expect a Big Baby comeback in a big way in 2020, and expect a Tyson Fury, Kubrat Pulev, Brand Jennings, anyone that is in the Top Rank ESPN stable for Big Baby to be matched up with him again heading into 2020. Number 13, Derek Chisora, who surprisingly has a 3-fight winning streak in 2019, beating guys like David Price and Artur Szpilka. What year are we in? I don't understand it, but Chisora somehow is gaining momentum back. I mean, the cat with nine lives. I mean, Derek Chisora is a veteran that has been around for a long time, a perennial top 10, top 15 talent. The guy is going to stay here for, I think, a few more years, let's be honest, and get bigger fights, maybe with the likes of Alexander Usyk, Joseph Parker. I mean, Chisora is lined up for a lot of big fights in 2020 off of a winning streak in 2019, so he's moving up in our rankings. Number 12 is Oscar Rivas with the win over Brand Jennings that catapulted him to bigger and better fights. And that bigger and better fight was the notorious Dillian Whyte fight, which led to a whole scandalous PED issue that we're going to get into when we talk about Dillian Whyte later on in the video. And since that loss, his stock has sort of been sent down more to reasonable levels. Curious to see what's next for him in 2020, since it's yet to be determined what really his next fight is, next move is, next route is in terms of matchmaking and career path. Number 11 is Adam Wanaki. The Polish sensation continues to move up the ranking one spot at a time with wins over Gerald Washington and Chris Arreola this year. He clearly shows that he has an entertainment value, a talent factor here that he could blow up. He could, with a win over Deontay Wilder, Andy Ruiz in 2020, become a big factor in the sport. So what's next for him could be a massive jump up in the rankings the next time we do this thing. Number 10 is Alexander Usyk, who's perhaps a little bit high on this list. As we all know, he did get touched up by Chaz Witherspoon. Don't deny it, people. Don't deny it. However, Usyk's accolades at cruiserweight and the amateurs, plus that win over Joe Joyce in the World Series of Boxing, kind of does prove that Usyk is a commodity at heavyweight. And even though I thought he looked a little bit lackluster in his win against Chaz Witherspoon, that one fight at heavyweight, clearly he is talented enough to beat a lot of heavyweights since it's the heavyweight division. And big fights in the horizon for 2020, Chisora, Parker, Joshua, those are all potential matchups in early 2020 that could really solidify his placement in higher in these rankings, top 5, top 3. And let's see how great, how pound for pound, how all-time great status is Alexander Usyk. Number 9 is Kubrat Pulev. And when he's not forcibly kissing reporters, he's mainly fighting nobodies in the heavyweight division. But we all know that he's talented enough, he's skilled enough to beat a lot of guys in the heavyweight division. His tenure at the division probably ranks him still in this spot, similar to Alexander Povetkin. So what's next for Pulev? Obviously sort of not rematching, but getting the fight in order with Anthony Joshua when that was supposed to go down a few years ago, and now should get rescheduled since he is that IBF mandatory, and we should get a sort of an understanding or an answer about where Pulev ranks in the heavyweight division circa 2020, when we really don't know still, if we're being honest, since lately he has not been fighting the best competition. Number 8 is Joseph Parker, and while he is relatively inactive, which is unfortunate, he does have a clear sort of ceiling in the heavyweight division. Clear losses to Anthony Joshua and a close loss to Dillian Whyte show that Parker isn't the best guy in the division, but a win over Andy Ruiz and Carlos Takam and others show that he is sort of within that top 10 range. Curious to see if he can get more active in 2020 and have some bigger fights. Number 7 is Alexander Povetkin, who is obviously in an alarming spot here. With just a win over Harry Fury and a draw with Michael Hunter, his spot on this ranking is at an unstable position. And due to his age and just tenure in the division, sort of like Luis Ortiz, his placement in this division could be rapidly changing in a negative way in 2020, so be on the lookout for that. Number 6 is Luis Ortiz, who was on his way to cementing his legacy, getting a career-defining win against Deontay Wilder, and then was knocked out in vicious fashion with a straight right hand after he was largely dominating the fight. And now boxing Wilder, though not really surprising, Luis Ortiz, similar to Alexander Povetkin, is in a position where he could be changing into a negative position here in the rankings. He could be dropping down the rankings relatively soon because God knows when he's going to drop off in terms of talent and skill level due to his age, due to the wear and tear on his body and throughout his career. So I expect the next time we do these rankings for Luis Ortiz to be at a lower position on the totem pole at the heavyweight division. Number 5 is Andy Ruiz. The Mexican heavyweight champion was on his way to immortalizing his upset win over Anthony Joshua, and then he kind of did in the rematch. I mean, let's be honest here. Andy Ruiz kind of being the second, or I should say our generation's James Buster Douglas at this moment, with especially the weight gain after the first fight into the rematch. Just obviously, Andy Ruiz came into the rematch not training, not being dedicated, and because of that, dropping a lot of spots on our rankings, and not surprised at that. He was largely dominated in his fight against Anthony Joshua in the rematch. Hopefully he can rebound though. I think a heavyweight division with Andy Ruiz is a far better division, far healthier division, and a far more exciting division. So hopefully he does rebound in 2020. Number 4 is Dillian Whyte, who, if we're being honest, had a very odd year in 2019. Ended last year with a dramatic KO win over rival Derek Chisora, and then had a great back and forth fight with Oscar Rivas. And then the wheels sort of fell off, and momentum ended with that positive PD test that happened in the UCAD test post the Oscar Rivas fight, or I should say, we found out post the Oscar Rivas fight, even though all parties involved except for Rivas knew heading into the fight. So besides that situation and the tune-up in Saudi Arabia with Maurice Rock at the very end of the year, Whyte's in a still relatively good position. I mean, he's still top 5, top 4 heavyweight in the world, so clearly in line for a big fight early 2020 once AJ gets done with the mandatory, or once Wilder and Fury gets done with. Dillian Whyte should be in a position for a mega fight next year, even with all of this year being kind of a momentum, not ending year, but momentum shifting year, if we're going to be honest. And let's be honest, you try contextualizing 2019 for Dillian Whyte. Try it. It's very difficult. Number 3 is Tyson Fury, the lineal champion, or whatever you want to call him. Let's be honest, had a odd year in 2019. Had a year where he had a giant ESPN deal going into it, and largely fought on only fought on ESPN Plus cards. fought borderline top 50 and 80 competition, and struggled against Otto Wallin, a borderline top 50 heavyweight, in a fight that he should not have struggled in. Tyson Fury entered in 2019 with such momentum off the Deontay Wilder draw. It seemed like a lot of the casual sporting audience of America and worldwide were paying attention to that fight and sort of the aftermath of that fight. And Tyson Fury, while he did sign a big giant deal based off of that, did nothing with that deal. And again, with fighting borderline top 50 opponents, and then on top of it, struggling. How can you not knock him down a peg or two in the rankings? Now, before I get to the top 2 spots, a little disclaimer before I receive a lot of hate in the comment section, guys. Myself and Gary actually came to a numerical tie when it comes to the top 2 of the heavyweight ranking. And it was left to our tiebreakers, our other panelists on the show, to make the determination as to who would be number 1 in the division. So don't be mad at me or Gary. Be mad at someone else. You can probably email them down below in the description of the show. Find it there. It's no big deal, but yeah, just down there. Don't email me. Don't at me. It's not my fault. Sorry. Number 2 is Anthony Joshua, who obviously had a up and down year. Began this year with the dramatic KO loss, huge upset loss against largely unknown, even though he shouldn't have been, Andy Ruiz. And let's be honest, sort of underrated Andy Ruiz. A lot of casuals thinking that Andy Ruiz was, for lack of better words, the fat guy in boxing, and I think a lot of people discredited him that were outside the community, and therefore losing to him was a huge black mark on his career. He needed to right that ship, especially with all the backlash and conspiracy theories that came out, and then he did. I mean, he put it together, crafted a great game plan for the rematch, and dominated largely in the rematch. I mean, outboxed Andy Ruiz for large portions of the fight, winning a clear decision, and sort of getting himself back on the horse again, back into the swing of things in the division, and sort of solidifying his place back at the top, though it could be argued that he still isn't there at the top. And plus, with this year, it's hard to maybe rank him number 1 in the division, looking at 2019 as a whole. Plus, the rematch against Andy Ruiz was a huge win that propelled AJ back to bigger options, bigger fights, back to talking about him and Deontay Wilder, and maybe we get that fight with Deontay Wilder in 2020, right guys? Right? Please, anyone? No? Damn it. Number 1, and by this time you guys probably, guessed it, is Deontay Wilder. With a win over borderline top 15 heavyweight Dominic Brazil earlier in this year, and when he did fight him, he was ranked in our top 15, and then a win over top 10 at least, Luis Ortiz. What a great year for Deontay Wilder. I mean, great knockouts, highlight of the real knockouts. I mean, clearly in a position here to propel himself to a greater stratosphere of stardom and drawing power. Can he do it? Can this rematch with Fury be enough to make him the next big superstar in US boxing? Yet to be determined, but clearly on that stage, clearly ready for that moment. And on top of it, clearly the best year of any heavyweight in boxing at this moment, and clearly the best heavyweight in the world, in my opinion. Sorry guys, just letting you know that, sorry. So expect Deontay Wilder to maybe hold on to this placement, especially with the win over Tyson Fury. If he beats Tyson Fury, this status as number 1 heavyweight in our rankings gets solidified. If he loses, then expect Tyson Fury to jump over AJ and to sort of switch positions with Deontay Wilder in our rankings. Not too surprising though. That's been MCR's top 15 heavyweights of the world. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, all that fun YouTube stuff, and let us know down in the comment section your top 15 heavyweights of the world and where we are just awfully wrong, where we're right, all that fun stuff, and let's have a healthy debate in the comment section, because that exists on YouTube, I think.